A new era dawns to fill the void. An unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encounter Cast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncounterCast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encounter Cast. Thanks for joining us here live at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. We start at 1 p.m. in the afternoon here on Sundays at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Glad to have you along. Exciting news that we're going to be talking about today, including Square Enix and Marvel with a surprising pairing to bring us an Avengers game.
Commence fanboying.
We're going to get into all of that and more here on Final Encounter Cast today. You can find the show, if this is the first time you've ever joined us here on the show, you can find us on the web over at FinalEncounterCast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast, which we hope that you'll do. You can also find us on iTunes. Leave us a little bit of iTunes love. Let other people know that they can find us, because that's what we want to do. We want to grow this show. We want to make this show as big as possible. We want as many people as possible to know that we're here and making great stuff. So if you believe in the show, then help spread us around. FinalEncounterCast.com is the website to visit. Also, FEC Podcast on Twitter and Facebook.com/FinalEncounterCast if you'd like to join us on social media. So this is only week number 2 in our big experiment, our move back over to the Limit Break Radio Twitch stream.
It feels so much more comfy here on this stream. It's like our home.
It kind of does, yeah. There's not as much movement back and forth between the streams that we have to figure out how to do. Not as much audience movement back and forth between the streams, so we hope that it's a little bit easier on you guys to understand. And last week we saw a whole bunch of viewers and listeners that we would normally never see here on the show. So we're excited to have you new folks along that's joining us at our new time at 1 in the afternoon here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. So we've got a lot to talk about here today. But real quick, I did just want to talk about last week I had to sort of sit out a little bit on Limit Break Radio.
Because we told you to.
Yeah, but there was a little bit of a behind the scenes decision behind that as well. So I'm sure that some people who have been listening to this show for a really, really long time can tell when my voice is not really at its peak performance, and it hasn't been now for about like 3 or 4 weeks.
Gotta maintain that vocal consistency, man.
Yeah, I know, and the thing is that I've had issues like this in the past, and so I actually made an appointment to go see a doctor about it this week. I was actually that alarmed about it, and so went and saw the doctor, and I'm getting checked out, and he's asking me all my. I had to see someone new because my normal doctor was booked until like the end of February.
Jeez.
And so I had to see someone new. He's asking me a bunch of questions about my health and everything, and so I'm explaining what's going on with my throat and why it's important. And so he takes the stethoscope thing and looks in my throat and he goes, "Oh yeah, I definitely see a little bit of thrush there," which is a low grade infection.
Thrush.
I've dealt with it before because of my acid reflux, and around the time that this had started happening, I had to switch off of my normal acid reflux to the over-the-counter acid reflux medication. And in that time, my voice started to be affected, but I didn't feel any heartburn, so I didn't really immediately connect the two. But he goes, yeah, I see a little bit of thrush there, which could be an indication of heartburn, acid reflux, or it could be HIV. So, and I'm like, whoa, that's a pretty broad spectrum. You want to try to pin that one down there, WebMD? Like, what is this? Like, I did not realize that we were I mean, the guy was younger than me. I'll give him that.
Nate, it's called karma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
your
what it's?
Hulkades.
Is that? Oh, that's what it's gonna be. Okay. So I'm just.
Oh my God.
I know, right? Like it really like. It kind of fucked with my head a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
It could be a paper cut, but it could be melanoma. So let's take a look at
Dude,
it.
it's like every time you go to WebMD, and they're like, yeah, it could be a sunburn or it's cancer. Like you're
good.
Can you pin this down a little bit more than that? Like that's a pretty broad spectrum.
So what you're trying to tell us is you're leaving the show to pursue treatment, or
I guess I have to start a retroviral treatment.
Jesus.
I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy.
Did he take a blood sample?
Yeah, they took blood work.
Okay.
They haven't called me yet, which I don't know if I should be. If that's comforting or alarming.
I think it's probably better that they're not calling really
The
fast.
Hulkades probably destroyed the lab.
Maybe. I don't know. It's crazy though. Like but the thing is that so with Checkpoint launching really kind of like in a couple of weeks, I'm having to really kind of choose the way that I use my voice throughout the day, and doing 5.5 completely uninterrupted hours of conversation and talk on a Sunday is kind of difficult for me right now. So in the interest of maintaining vocal consistency and things like that, you may hear me input a little bit less than I normally would, or I may be a little less animated than I normally
We'll
would.
just kick you off the show again. We're so good at taking control of it.
Yeah, I carried us, didn't I, Nika?
I wouldn't say that.
I would.
Yeah?
In fact, I've actually gotten a few messages from people.
Oh, yeah.
Complimenting me
Really?
on the show with the Nero being absent. Yeah, Nika.
Yeah.
Really? How many did you get?
What are
proof
these
do we
people's
have of
names?
This is, we only have your word right now against nobody's.
He got a message from R Pollock 71 and Callow is great 16.
He's a fun vacuum.
Kahlo is pretty great.
That's why there's 16 accounts with that name.
Anyway, so I'm a little bit on the mend, trying to also pin down exactly what this is. I'm 99% sure that it's related to the acid reflux, because I did of course the really, really smart thing when they gave me the prescription strength acid reflux medication, and I instantly went, all right, fuck it. Let's see how far we can push it, and just ate progressively hotter and hotter and hotter foods.
Oh my God.
Because I'm like, that's definitely a smart thing to do. Like,
I'm sure this decision won't haunt you forever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Nuke your throat.
It's not like you need that for anything.
No, exactly.
It's not how you get money.
Now that I've slowly ingested poison to become immune to it, let me test it out.
And here I
He goes
am.
down to the Thai restaurant like, what's this one with the 7 peppers next to it?
Yeah, right. And here I am sitting around going like, dude, what's wrong with my voice? This is freaking me out.
Goes and eats an actual scorpion.
God damn, I'm fucking retarded. So
Yeah.
You heard it here.
We know.
Yeah.
anyway, so we'll let you know if I have Hulkades. You'll hear it first on Final Encountercast.
But only if you tune in at 1 o'clock.
That's right. See what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
All right, guys. Well, starting off with some sadder news, a local host of a mediocre podcast was diagnosed with the first confirmed case of Hulkades this week. We'll have more on this story as it continues.
Hey, I don't.
Zing!
That's
Happy birthday!
not confirmed.
Who says we were talking about you glory hog?
What the hell was that?
Did a ghost just attack us or something?
Closet haunted all of a
Oh my
sudden?
God.
I have no idea.
In the closet?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Maybe.
The shit.
Well, lest you believe that America has the market cornered on producing stupid movies, Japan has stepped up to the plate. They've released a trailer for their live act.
Here's a little something for your HIV treatment, Nate.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, treatment is underway. Well, Japan has stepped up to the plate with a trailer for their live-action adaptation of their Neko Atsume game. The movie follows the premise of the game pretty closely. A guy moves into a house and has a ton of cats. Currently, there are no plans for the movie to release stateside.
What?
It's
like,
a movie.
isn't that game where you literally just raise cats in a house?
That's correct. That's that game.
That sounds awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a mobile game, and
like everyone was showing screenshots for like a month, and
That's
then
correct.
they just stopped.
yeah, now there's a movie coming out for it. Oh my god. But not
I also
stateside.
learned that I'm secretly a furry.
It's gonna be as bad as the Grumpy Cat movie.
That's correct.
There's a Grumpy Cat movie?
Oh my god. No.
Yes.
No. Why did anyone tell him?
It's gonna be the greatest thing ever.
He's gonna see it twice.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is at
Wasn't
all.
it voiced by Anna Kendrick? Which is really sad.
Go away.
Annie Arrow has Hulk AIDS. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Great.
Nero has Hulk AIDS. Nika's pregnant. What's going on?
I don't know.
No, stop spreading that rumor. It's not true.
People just like to make shit up.
That's true. Genesis 4 took place last weekend, and it was the center of some drama in the fighting game community as tournament organizers botched the Super Smash Bros. For Wii event. After an elimination set by Komori Kiri and Captain Zack, Komori Kiri requested the settings be checked. He felt that the knockback ratio was off, and sure enough, tournament organizers found the knockback setting was at 0.9 instead of the standard 1. They decided.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
They decided to replay the last match of the round rather than redo the best of 5. So the score was reset to 2-1 in Captain Zack's favor, and Komori Kiri was still eliminated.
Hang on. Hold up. Like, if you discover that, like, at that stage in the tournament, don't you just restart the fucking tournament?
Well, that's what they
restart
wanted.
the brackets all over again. Look, I understand for show organizers that they've got a show to sort of like keep on schedule, and I get that. But at the same time, you've got to officiate this in a fair way, because that's some bullshit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't. There's no analog that you can have for that in the sports world, right? Like, you know, like you can't.
Well, I mean, I guess you could compare it to like an NFL referee botching a call or a box
Or
strike zone
the
in
grass
baseball.
With a different amount of slippery.
If
it's like
field
AstroTurf or
problems.
something, and it's not the right grade, and people aren't used to playing on it.
No, I'm going to agree with Nate. You don't have an analog to that because every referee in baseball has a different interpretation of what the strike zone is. That's just the way that it is.
Right.
And when you play, you do that with the sort of mutual understanding that there are, you know,
variables that can't be controlled.
There are variables, and then there are officials that may, you know, like their discretion is something that is you know, kind of just an accepted part of the rules. This is not part of that. This was an error and a mistake that I feel like they just didn't bother to want to try to fix.
So hold on. Usually it's set at 1 or 0.1?
1.
Okay, so it was only off by 0.1.
Yeah.
And people could tell because they probably have characters and moves that rely on that.
I think at that point, this is how far along into the tournament? The semifinals?
They should have just left it so that it was fair for everybody.
Yeah, I felt.
Okay, well, no, because they're not going to have
Either-
one station playing the games and all the matches.
Oh, that's true.
They're going to have like dozens and dozens
Multiple
of
stations,
consoles to play to get through the
okay.
tournament.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
well, the players who were affected by the issue are also being compensated by the tournament organizers. So,
well, then
at least there's that.
I don't know why they're complaining that much then.
I'm sure that wasn't immediately that they're like, oh, we'll compensate you in some way. I'm sure at first it was just like deal with it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Genesis 4, though, we did indeed get our rematch from Mango and Armada, with Armada taking home the first place prize for the tournament. However, the matchup that everyone talking was the semifinals match between Mango and Leffen. After years of visa issues, Leffen finally was able to return to competitive Smash and came into the tournament with a vengeance. The best of 5 series between him and Mango is being called one of the best Smash sets in years.
We actually have some clips from that.
Yeah, and it's totally worth watching. It's super good.
The full match is about 16 minutes long. It is.
So we're gonna watch all of it?
No, we're not going to watch all of it. We're going to watch some of the highlights here. But let's check this out. This is again Leffen and Mango at the Melee This is Melee, right? Yeah, the Melee losers quarterfinals.
I can't believe Melee is still tournament.
I know.
Brawl is so much better.
I know. Here, let's check this out.
So because Armada does that, but I don't know.
Mango fading away with down air as he usually
does. Get him,
Falcon.
Oh, wow.
Not biting.
Falcon? Really?
Leffen comes down and he doesn't shine.
Oh my goodness.
Couple of missed punishes from Mango.
And I love
Leffen on defense, rolls in poorly.
Down smash, covers every option.
Oh, man. Dude, is that so impressive?
I thought that he had him.
Yeah, we got another one right here.
So he DI behind for the...
I mean, it's like, dude, it's a little bit the headline, Callie, that you had come up with, that it's like watching Dragon Ball Z.
It's ridiculous, and I'm just being reminded how bad I am at Smash Brothers right now. I played a ton of it for the N64, and I was never any good with this game.
Oh wow, yeah, he came back.
Oh man,
but man, the edge guarding right there was so good,
crazy. And then we've got a couple. Dude, some of these are just so impressive.
Makes it back. This is big. What's Leffen gonna do? He goes for the, and he's got Mango without a jump here. This is so much damage.
Wow, Mango goes in. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
This turnaround is just insane right here.
There's one.
What a cheesy technique.
Sitting at 61%.
Cheesing him.
Through Leffen's invincibility. Gets hit one time. He gets a crouch cancel. He gets a knockdown. Another knockdown.
Oh, 107. He's sitting at 107.
Oh my goodness. What's he gonna do?
Oh wow, he recovered from that.
Whoa, the uppy was so smart.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's anyone's game here. It's even.
What a fucking comeback! What a fucking comeback! That's insane!
Oh my god!
Over 100% damage on that, and he's able to turn it around. I mean, and that's just like, and that was at least 90 seconds worth of play that he was open to being knocked off. That's insane. And then of course we've got the final here.
No tilt.
On Kirby Streamland, no less.
Jumpless Mango. Jeez, Mango actually could have had the lead there, but he's much closer.
These two guys, what a series.
I know.
Sliding off the stage, nothing for Mango. Invincible ledge dash.
Scary position for Mango.
Wow, he's so lucky that he traded the up B with Leffen's kill move there.
Wow, what the? I think that was Mango made the best of.
All right, now they're both down to a single stock each.
Yep.
In the air and then just double jump landed on the platform.
Yes.
Oh no, for Leffen. Is he gonna lose?
Oh, 67-34. Oh.
Wow, what a beautiful 4B by Mango. He does
tie game.
Yeah. I mean, it's even. It's pretty much even right here.
What's happening?
Either of. Listen to the announcers just losing their shit.
Yelling, what's happening?
Wow!
The down smash.
Yes.
What a gambit there. Oh, an incredible.
See, and you know, this is
incredible matchup. And
this is what I love about esports. Is how
really is.
Often this happens. Like in real sports, yeah, you have a bunch of epic games that happen every once in a while. But how often is it just right down to the wire like that?
Yeah,
right.
That was so nuts.
Oh my
It really is, and an amazing piece of watching there. And you can find that video over at our website, finalencountercast.com. We invite you to check it out. It's a great match. All 16 minutes of it, by the way, are pretty fantastic. So.
Yeah, when that announcer just completely loses faculties or control of like
what's gonna
yeah, when the announcer's yelling, what's going on? You're
what's
like, you're
gonna
supposed to tell
happen?
us.
Yeah,
not even that. The one guy literally said,
Speaking of esports, we want to give a shout out to Scarlett, who was playing over in the GSL and StarCraft 2 this past weekend. So rare for a non-Korean to make it to even the round of 32 in StarCraft, and
she is really entertaining to watch too.
She's so talented, a great Zerg player. She took Alive to the limit in their best of 3 series. Unfortunately for her, Alive does advance to the round of 16, but I mean, for the first time in a long while, a non-Korean qualifies for GSL, and she's expected to make it again next season.
That's so
awesome.
impressive. That's so impressive. She's also got another one of those crazy, like, right down to the wire matches, and I can't, you know, like, I wish I was a little bit more well versed at, like, you know, matchups and could quote them off the top of my head. But she's got a great matchup that went right down to the wire, where again it was like the announcers just completely lost their goddamn minds.
The second game in that series, Scarlett took the first one, and the second game in that series was so damn close.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe Scarlet didn't get that one, and then the third one, Alive came back strong to finish it out. But it was a really good series.
Maybe next time she should think about constructing more pylons.
Not Zerg, but I'll let it go. Okay. The video game industry is examining and preparing for possible upcoming tariffs on products. The Trump administration has floated the idea of a 10% tariff, which would likely affect products such as the Switch. Concerns over a possible trade war, however, might prevent such a tariff from going into effect. It's real, guys. Be careful about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Now,
who's got buyer's remorse now? Just asking.
This wouldn't affect digital content, though, correct?
That's kind of up for debate.
That is still a major gray area in
no
the
one
concept
really
of importing.
No one really knows. And I mean, I don't even know what to say to this. Like, first of all, it's very speculative. I mean, it is, the trade tariffs are something that he's talked about, but I don't think that there's been any action on, so no one needs to raise the flag or anything. Like, you don't need to like sound the alarms.
I don't know, maybe we should get preemptive on this shit.
Well, if you're in the video game industry, it is something you have to plan and prepare for at this point.
It's but like the thing is that he's talking about disrupting the structure of the way that the United States imports and exports everything, not just video games.
Right.
That really what this was a think piece of like, okay, well, if he's going to be doing this, how is it going to be affecting gamers? And I honestly think that, because I think this was a Polygon article, if I'm not mistaken, that if I had to guess, I think the goal of the author of this article was to say, okay, well, here's how the Trump administration affects you, and like sort of like focus the lens very tightly on video games and video gamers. And I think it was supposed to elicit that feeling of buyer's remorse. So I do kind of have to acknowledge the bias that I read in that article. But definitely. At the same time, like, it is a very real issue, and it is something that his administration is pursuing, and it's something that I think gamers have to be prepared for and be ready for, because a lot, and I mean by a lot, I mean by a wide margin, most everything related to video games is not manufactured in the United States. It's manufactured either in Mexico or in Asia. Yeah. And so that, the concept of a trade tariff would absolutely end up impacting that. So just some food for thought.
Pokemon Duel launched this week to surprisingly little fanfare. The game, which plays sort of like a board game in which you have a team of 6 Pokemon and battle anytime you land on a space that has another player's Pokemon on it, has been out in Japan since April. Although one notable thing about the game is that its developer, Heroes, they developed an app called Shogai Wars, whose AI is renowned as being difficult enough to give professional players a good match. So the AI in this game is looking to be very strong as well.
Wait, you said it was a board game?
It plays like one, though, I would say. Like, because it has a board with spaces on it that you move your team across. It's a mobile app.
Did anyone bother checking this out?
I did.
You did?
I had not even heard of it.
No, I never even heard of it.
No, I mean, I saw the headlines on it go around this week.
Well,
but
Fat, what was it like? I'm sorry, that's your name. We don't want to confuse people.
It is your name.
I just want to say, for starters, that I am really disappointed in you, Nate.
Why?
Because at least I can get behind that nose for Fat 2 for being at least funny and witty. Fat is just low-grade, boring, not even funny comedy.
Yeah, but it's
unoriginal.
But like,
it's not even inspired.
Yeah, but it's that's why
fun.
that's what makes it awesome. It's like a movie that's so bad that it's good. It's joke that's so bad that it's good.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
You can pronounce it fought.
Anika, you're not helping.
I mean, but then I don't know.
It's now fought with an umlaut on it.
No, in other languages, the A.
See, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Nate, can you put an umlaut on that
find
A?
the umlaut for me.
Oh my God.
That's too hard. I have a better idea. How about if we put like San after it, or Chan, so people think he's a weeaboo?
Fat San.
No, I mean, if he's a boy, it has to be Fat Coon.
Fine, whatever, Nika. I don't know what the proper things are. Are you though?
Fat -Kun. Fat Coon.
How about Fat Sensei? That's more
No,
appropriate.
definitely not Sensei.
All right, Fat Sensei, what did you
Or he
think
could
about?
be Fat Senpai.
Oh, right. So Pokemon Duel, there's a lot of problems with the app itself. Like every like menu option you like select, it has to like confirm with the server. So it has like Final Fantasy 14 1.0 syndrome.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah. But the gameplay is not terrible. Like you take your 6 guys and you put them on the board and then they move around and stuff. It's kind of like a strategy game. It's interesting. I kind of wish it wasn't on a mobile platform and on like an actual console, because I feel like I'm gonna be bogged down with microtransactions up the ass.
But overall, it's okay.
I'd play it.
All right.
I mean, like the Pokemon that are in it, like is it limited to the original 151?
No, it's like all gens.
Really?
As far as I can see.
So how do you like choose which ones you get or whatever?
You get them out of lock boxes.
Which you buy.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'm
out.
I'm out.
I know this smell.
I smell microtrans.
Yeah.
I smell pay to win.
By the way, I didn't realize this. Microtransactions is now a dirty word. Like, you will not see video game developers use that anymore.
Yeah, that's correct.
They will not say that that's a feature of their game at all.
Now
No,
that I
you don't
think
see it at
about
all. You don't see it at all. You see, like, like bonus premium content. That's usually how it's referred to.
Yeah, in-app purchasable
There
content.
you go.
Yeah,
in-app purchases. There
That's
it
what
is. Yeah. And then they have it like little as like a tiny like
footnote.
Footnote. Yeah.
Fear not, people who were upset over Killer Instinct World Cup's ban on teabagging. Neither of you have to worry, because the ban has been reversed / never really existed / isn't being enforced. The ban was supposedly going to happen after a teabagging incident led to a threat at an event. However, the organizer stated that it was a "this is why we can't have nice things" kind of troll.
Yeah, on one of our last shows, we talked a little bit about like what kind of trash talk or whatever is appropriate.
Right.
Come on.
We talked with Miss Harvey about it.
Yeah, teabagging.
Teabagging
Come
is
on.
fine.
Yeah. Come on. That's
like if you threaten someone over teabagging you, you're just salty
You're an
that you
idiot.
lost.
that's like pearl clutching to an epic degree.
Yeah.
Where did? Oh God. Oh. Okay, well, if you actually teabag somebody...
Oh, now we have stipulations. Okay, I see how it is.
There's a difference between real life and your character.
Plus, that wasn't teabagging so much. It was you just trying to hump my.
That was just violently sexually assaulting Robbie.
That was just
That's how
sad.
teabagging is in video games.
That was just sad.
It was just going like twitching your eye.
Where do you first remember like seeing teabagging?
Halo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's the same for everybody. Apparently, that's where it started.
Frat boys.
Is it real? I mean, like,
Is it? I don't know.
No.
I
would definitely believe that that's where the term started, but I gotta think that was something probably unreal.
It was just like what, crouch humping before?
I mean, like, I know I saw that shit happen on Unreal, and I know I saw that shit happen on Quake. It had to predate
Quake. I remember Quake.
Big time. And like,
you could probably go as far back as some of those really, really early competitive FPSs to find it.
That's what I'm saying. I think Quake may have been where that really.
But
I could see.
But
Quake,
I think the term for it was definitely coined with Halo, and that's where I think it definitely got.
Maybe Counter-Strike.
I don't know.
Maybe Counter-Strike.
All you youngsters, I've been teabagging Goombas and Mario since I was born. Back in the good old 1985s.
Yeah, but did you play Ghosts and Goblins? That's what really matters.
If you didn't play Ghosts and Goblins, you're not a real gamer.
Apparently, yeah, that's the litmus test.
So we're told.
I've never played that.
Well, you're not a real gamer.
Well, you're also a girl.
She's a girl, yeah, so she's obviously not a real gamer.
Sorry.
Girls can't be real gamers.
I'm just pretending.
That's the joke I'm making.
Ha 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 ha. Anyway,
I support Trump.
Blizzard.
Get off the show.
Blizzard's Heroes of the Dorm series will return for a third season, but not on ESPN as seasons 1 and 2 were. Instead, all the action will be broadcast over Facebook as a group of college teams compete for over $500,000 in scholarships. While stepping away from ESPN may seem like a bad move, the finals of the event last year were only broadcast on ESPN2. Many people who were watching on basic cable couldn't see it. And that's what they're trying to avoid this season.
Yeah, I feel like the move away from ESPN was probably due to the amount of promotion they were receiving or not receiving from the network.
Yeah, if it's nice to have it on ESPN, but if they're not like promoting the event, then
what's the point?
Yeah, why do you want it there?
Yeah. And so this is now I've never seen this. I've never actually watched Heroes of the Dorm. But is this like a reality TV show?
No, it's kind of like a. Yeah, you hybrid that with just like a season of competitive Heroes of the Storm for college teams.
Okay.
And the winning teams win scholarship money.
Yeah, and honestly, moving it to Facebook makes the most sense because it was Blizzard and Facebook live streaming that put together that big deal sometime last year, wasn't it?
But does it make the most sense? Why not just go to Twitch? Twitch seems like the place to put content like this.
This is why. Money.
Well, if they are partnering with Facebook in a bigger way, then yeah, I see why you would go to that.
Facebook video is definitely looking to get into that whole like content generation game,
and it is growing.
And yeah, I mean they kind of want to look at kind of eating away at YouTube Red and Netflix and stuff like that, and Twitch doesn't have that. Twitch is just like, we're a platform, come here. We've got certain people that, whose channels will promote on the front page. But other than that, like, Twitch isn't in the business of generating content, making like long-term content.
Just providing the medium for it.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think, like they're more involved with like doing live presentations and like I've seen panels of Twitch streamers at like do like pre and post shows now for a lot of a lot of different live events.
Yeah.
But the thing is though is that provided by Twitch, or are they, what I mean? Like, I don't think that Twitch as a company is setting that up. Nor do I think that they're, looking to get into that game. They've made no indication that they're looking to compete on that level, which is really interesting. I've got to say, it's kind of a attractive, notion to go after content like that. But I think Twitch kind of knows where its bread is buttered, and
there's something to be said for knowing who you are and what you're good at.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Those of you who are excited by Bethesda's E3 announcement of Prey, buckle up. The game has a release date. The space-based survival shooter will be launching on May 5th, and a new trailer with gameplay is out. It's one of those things where we really can't show it, but we do recommend check it out at our website and watch that trailer because it looks awesome. It gives me such a BioShock vibe when I watch it.
Now, wasn't this the one that Nate had thought that this was in some way related to an older game that was also titled Prey,
This
right?
was that title. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it is a direct. We talked about this at some point.
Yeah, if it was related in any way.
It seemed like I don't think it's a direct like relation, but it's more of a spiritual successor to it.
Okay, all right.
The game, I don't know. I look at that game and I see BioShock. Like you're in like the opening lobby area, and just the way everything's kind of like a throwback. It makes you think BioShock and the powers that you get. Take powers from aliens basically that you can now use. Yeah,
BioShock in space.
That's what it looks like to me, which if that's what it plays like, I'll be thrilled.
I don't know. My roommate in college had played the original Prey, which was just a mishmash of like, it's sort of like Doom, but with Native Americans and in space.
And Sony is pointing out in the chat, confirming that Game Informer did an article with them. It has nothing to do with the original Prey.
That's interesting and a weird decision.
Are they?
Because I'm pretty sure
developers?
But no, they're not. But I'm pretty sure that they did buy the IP. So I feel like they bought, because the logo's the same. So, like,
it is?
Yeah, like nearly the same.
Maybe they just really wanted to call it Prey, and this was the only way.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird.
Sony fans have been left wondering what the heck Sony is thinking with the games they choose to promote on their YouTube channel. Earlier this month, Sony posted a trailer for a game called Life of Black Tiger on their PlayStation YouTube channel, and it looks awful.
It really does.
The graphics are reminiscent of PS1 era.
What?
And the motions, they're so stiff. They're like
is
cardboard.
It an indie game, or is it?
Yeah, it's like that retro action there.
It is an indie game, but no one can understand why Sony is promoting it on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, you want something that's going to show off what your system can do. Like, this is the PlayStation YouTube channel.
And they posted it.
Is it one of those like free ones from PS Plus or something?
No, it's $9.99.
It's $9.99.
This is why you should get PS Plus.
No, it's $9.99.
It's not at all. And the thing is Jim Sterling did a whole like video walkthrough.
He sure
of this.
did, and boy, is it garbage.
Oh God, it's so bad. And what he pointed out that I thought was a really interesting choice and a really dumb decision on Sony's part is that this is the trailer that they put out to compete with the Switch trailer. It was put out on the same day.
Oh, Sony.
And it's such trash.
I mean,
Switch
maybe
wins
they
this
just
time.
maybe they just knew. They're like, yeah, Nintendo's doing their thing today. We're just
Guys, no one's going to watch anything we post today.
Yeah, then they just phoned it in.
I mean, maybe because maybe they had a deal with that game developer that they would promote it at some point, and that's when they chose that time to do it.
Yeah, this is the day we're gonna. We have that contractual obligation.
Yeah, decide to save one of their big guns for another day.
But yeah, it's called Life of Black Tiger. If you want to be disappointed, check it out.
Oh my God, it is so bad. But you should watch Jim Sterling's playthrough of it because it's pretty funny.
Well, guys, it is the end of an era. Cards Against Humanity has decided enough is enough and that maybe they aren't fit to run a company. Yeah. After digging a remarkably large hole in the ground to find out if it'd be fun, they posted an ad to find a new CEO for their company. The requirements, however, are very strict. And in fact, only one man may be qualified for the job. Their ideal candidate will have a minimum 8 years running the United States of America or equivalent nation, have a 57.2% or higher approval rating, and have passed a national comprehensive health care reform plan, among other things. I think they may have someone in mind.
Yeah, that sounds oddly specific.
The Chicago-based company has decided they want a new CEO.
Hold on, this is Cards
this
Against
sounds
Humanity?
exactly like something they would do. It's clearly an epic troll.
That's great.
Because I think Spotify did this same thing.
Did they?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I love this.
Maybe it's like an in thing, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Cards Against Humanity is based out of Chicago, so they're like, hey, he's coming home anyway. Maybe we can get him to run our company
Well, not
us.
for another 2 years, apparently.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Side note, LBR is looking for an intern, so if you have 8 years running the United States of America...
He doesn't even have the stamina to finish the joke. Way to go, Fott.
The joke. You really want me to go,
Way to go, Fott. Nice job.
Let's see,
No.
57.2 approval
Stop.
rating,
No.
passed
Stop.
Obamacare.
Like after you call him out on it, he just like takes it and runs with it. Why? At that point, why? Why bother?
Fott, we know that running's not really your style, okay?
Oh, it's so mean.
Oh, goodness.
Maybe it was like a macaroon eating contest.
Have you had those? Those have been fucking delicious.
No, I haven't. They look gross.
What? Good. We have someone who comes into work and brings them in because he's trying to be a chef.
Really?
So he brings in macaroons?
Wait, he's trying to be a chef and he works at a pizza place?
Yeah. The little like small cookie things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the things. They're good.
Guillermo del Toro has sounded off on his role in the upcoming Death Stranding. He has confirmed he is not creatively involved in the game's development and is only an actor for it, saying the game is 100% Kojima-sans.
Nice.
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't have minded him having some creative input on it.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have been the worst thing, but I don't know. I like the idea that this is all coming out of Kojima.
The way to hear Del Toro like tell it, Kojima called him, was like, "Hey, you want to be in this game I'm making?" And he's like, "Yeah, that could be cool." And then he hung up. Like that's kind of how he makes it sound like it went down.
So this is how I imagine now. If it's all just Kojima, like everything just coming out of his head, like during the work days, there's this one room, like his office that he's in, and there's always like these creepy sounds, and, like flashing lights and like smoke coming from underneath the door, and nobody goes in there. Like every once in a while, like an intern will open the door to ask him, like tentacles will come out and grab the intern and pull him in. There's just this Cthulhu ritual going on.
God, Konami didn't seal him away. That's just what his office was like.
See, I'm a little bit disappointed to hear that he got Guillermo del Toro just from a phone call. Like, I was kind of hoping that, you know, if the request came from Kojima, it would come on like a plaque. You'd get like a placard delivered to you by a bird, and on that placard it would be like some GPS coordinates, and you'd have to you couldn't even put it into it. You'd have to go to the physical location, the latitude and longitude. You'd have to go to that physical location, and then at that physical location, like carved into the ground, would have been like, "Would you like to be in my game?" And then to be able to reply,
ancient hieroglyphics though.
Yeah,
so you have to solve it first.
But to reply, you would have have to find the last working telegraph and type
You
back
shock your nipples.
Yeah, type back in Morse code that you would indeed like to be in Kojima's new game. So I'm just disappointed that it's just like a phone call and then he hangs up. Like, that's dumb.
Well, when you're chosen,
Also, he does it in a
chosen.
Brooklyn accent, so it's important. Microsoft's Mike Ibarra has confirmed that Xbox One will be removing its popular Snap mode in the next OS patch. The mode, which allows users to put a small screen in the corner while you play, is being removed to improve overall speed, reduce memory use, and free up resources. Glad I don't have an Xbox One.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It does. I can see why that would take up a ton of resources.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you guys think that that's something that they're going to add back for the new version of the Xbox? Scorpio, yeah, that is.
Depends, I guess, on how popular it was.
I mean, apparently it was a pretty well-liked feature, and I can see why. It'd be like if you have like a sports game on or something, and you could have like the scores up in the lower left corner. I could see that.
Or you could just
good.
use your computer.
Or you could do that.
Or have a cell phone.
Yeah.
Just do any number of other things that aren't affecting your
Or just don't
performance.
watch sports.
Here's an idea. Get a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, do that. That's a really good plan.
Can the PlayStation 4 do that?
Although, I saw an article this week, according to a developer.
Which one?
You see the fucking air quotes that I got going on here?
Air
according
quotes.
to a developer, saying that the PlayStation Pro is like what is it, like a half step in between. It's more like a PlayStation 4.5 than the Scorpio. The Scorpio does feel like a genuine next gen console, which I'm like, yeah, okay,
Could be.
Maybe.
Well, considering that
But
the
doing
Xbox
what?
is already behind the PlayStation, like overall, where does that put them?
Yeah, they need to kind of like bridge that gap anyway. But then in the end, like when you get the next fully fledged Sony product, it's going to make the Scorpio feel like a half step anyway. So I mean, it feels just like a whole lot of pointless hardware creating. And for this guy, I mean, like, he was an unverified source, a developer.
Well, and if I recall correctly, Microsoft's whole plan going forward now is for their consoles to be more like how we purchase cell phones. They're coming out with new ones every year and a half to 2 years.
Oh my god!
Right?
Can you imagine that short of a console cycle? 18 months?
No,
madness.
Look, dude, if that is how short your console cycle is, then you need to make upgradable hardware. Period.
So make a
PC.
So make a PC at that point.
Pretty much, yeah. No, it would be.
Or you have to have way better backwards compatibility.
Yeah, it's basically like I could see Sony ending up making like a modular console that is similar to a PC, but it's a lot more consumer friendly. It's a lot more like, you can do hot swaps and stuff like that.
Literally, there's a little like bay on the outside where it's like, oh, you want to swap out your video cord? Pull out the old one, push in the new one, and you're done.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not going to be as, because you do need some kind of technical skill to be able to build or maintain a computer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I would say, a lot of times when people go through a third party to build their computer, the thing that they're worried about is when it breaks, who do I call?
Yeah.
And the thing that I've learned over, my 10 to 15 years of building PCs is that the answer when you build it is no one. You are responsible for fixing it. You got to figure out what's wrong.
You could just not break your PCs.
Says the guy who breaks his PC on like the most regular basis.
Excuse me, me?
Yeah, you.
What?
Yeah, you.
No, since you built it for me, no, it hasn't broken. I had that one instance where like my memory was at like 99%, but when I reset it, boom, it's fine. Turned on all those programs again. It's like, all right, only using 20% memory now.
Okay.
You're the one that always has the problems.
No, well,
with your 3 or 4 PCs that you have.
Well, yeah, because I'm maintaining.
You have a VIP membership at Micro Center, as far as I'm aware.
I don't, but I probably should.
Exactly.
Nate walks in there. It's like, oh, here we go again.
I have the best.
Must be Tuesday again.
Yeah.
Ludacris has launched a mobile game titled Slangin' Friends. Think Scrabble, but now you're allowed to use slang words.
Oh, great.
Thus far, the game has over 10,000 slang words from around the world in its dictionary, which are legal to use.
That actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah,
it sounds like Words with Friends.
Words with Friends, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's Words with Friends, but like, you can use fucking...
Fun words.
Bay.
Yeah, it's Skrilla.
Cash me outside.
I can safely say there is no game that has ever been developed that I would be worse at than this one. Like, I have zero chance of being good at this game.
I could see Callie just like getting completely enraged and triggered as people are using like Urban Dictionary words. He's like, "That's not no."
I'm white, you know.
You
I'm
mad?
white.
It's kind of like I have no hope of being good at this game.
Let's be fair though. You're not good at any game.
Fair enough. Oh, God. Okay, here. All right. So apparently, now people are mad that Overwatch's Mei isn't fat enough in her new skin, in the New Year skin that they released for her. The skin, which shows a bit more of a figure due to the fact that she isn't wearing her gigantic-ass parka anymore, has revealed Mei to not be morbidly obese, like some people apparently believed, despite her concept art showing her as not being overtly heavy.
First of all,
curvy, right?
she's not obese.
Well, that's apparently what people want.
I've never seen her as obese. She's curvy, isn't she?
She is curvy, and she still is curvy. Thick.
In fact, there's
I use that in slang and friends.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In fact, there's a few sprays that just show her like wearing just like a tank top and like what I would assume would be like yoga pants or something, and she looks kind of like thinner than she does when she's in her parka.
Normally she wears this completely not flattering gigundous parka. She's got like her Cartman parka on, she's waddling around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I mean, it's not. Look, I don't think the argument is whether or not she's fat. I think the insane argument that's being put forward is that she's obviously not fat enough. Which
okay, well, for starters, have you guys seen the skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's retarded. She's literally at a 90-degree angle from her back to her butt. That is not what that's not how human anatomy works.
Well, and Blizzard
Mr.
has issued a statement saying that it was a glitch and they are going to, I guess, plump her up.
They're gonna fatten her up.
Reduce the angle.
Oh my God!
But one of the things you have to keep in mind is Overwatch is renowned for how diverse their cast is. So you have to have someone that appeals to Fat's crowd.
Isn't she supposed to run a lot in this game?
Everybody runs a lot in this game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How would you stay fat doing Overwatch?
She's big boned.
Oh, well, that's fine.
I'm just this is completely insane.
This is ridiculous.
This is completely normal for Overwatch's community.
You're right. This is very normal for Overwatch's community.
A fat activist. I mean, literally, that is what is
Fativist.
You'll notice I refused to say that word.
Fat activist. Like, I understand wanting more reasonable representations in media.
Yeah,
I totally understand that. Totally get that. I mean, shit, not everyone that I see on TV looks like me either. But I don't take that fucking personally either. Like, I don't look at that as an affront to me or somehow being discriminated against.
That's because you're white.
That's insane.
Check your privilege.
Guys, be nice to Skuro, okay?
What?
Skuro's fat.
Oh, yeah.
He's a factivist.
He's a fativist.
All right. Well, Pokemon is handling cheating seriously with Sun and Moon, having handed out nearly 6,000 bans for altered save states. The Pokemon Company has promised more bans on a regular basis to players who cheat the game, and those affected will no longer be able to use game sync, ratings battles, battle competitions, or global missions.
Yeah, this is kind of a big deal because, I've been watching different Pokemon communities kind of react to some of these bannings. A lot of people really worried that,
am I going to get banned for?
Yeah, if you do any amount of Wonder Trading, you've probably picked up a Hex Shiny or two. Most likely from Oslov as well. And
possibly.
And so there were a lot of people worried, oh shit, is this going to be me as well? And after doing a fair amount of research about this, it's not like hacked Pokemon that are causing the bans. It's really, and everyone, if you had a hacked Pokemon, you knew not to do this anyway. But it's people taking knowingly hacked Pokemon into online rated battles. That'll trigger it. And the second thing is if you used a power save on your 3DS cart for Sun and Moon and hacked to like 999 items, that would flag it. Those are really the only two things.
Well, if you also use like Poke hacks to change anything about your character, that'll flag it too.
PK hacks.
PK hacks.
Yeah. If you were changing like the skin of your character, that also did flag it as well. But I mean, that requires a power save, as
Yeah.
So if you're not actively doing power saving, if all you're doing is wonder trading, you should be okay. Now, I did hear that somehow, and I can't confirm this because I went and looked for it afterwards, that people had been injecting a fake Pokemon or a Pokemon that's not accessible yet. In the same way, like sort of like how I guess there were people who had Volcanion before it was officially released, or like some of the other mythics before they were released, and that has been confirmed to throw your ban up as well.
I know that there was a story a few weeks ago that I saw where they were people were hacking Missing No into their games, and it corrupted their games.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, owned.
Wow. Well, because the thing is that the ports of Red, Yellow, and Blue have all of the original glitches in it, including the Mew glitch.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use it to get a Mew, but... there was a lot of speculation about this, whether or not that Mew would be bankable. Not bankable. Nope. Confirmed. Not bankable. But the interesting thing is that if you do use the bank for Sun and Moon, you get a new Z move for Mew. You get Mew EMZ.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So if you haven't done that yet, make sure that you do. I've been able to bring my bank over just fine, and not a lot of those got through wonder trading. So
that's interesting because I know that like back in the Pokemon Stadium days, I could put that Mew into Pokemon Stadium just fine. So they must have
didn't Stadium just
changed
kind of
their idea of.
Well,
didn't Stadium just kind of effectively run off a expansion of the Pokemon game code?
It did, because you actually needed to put in the physical cart to be able to
transfer stuff over.
Right, and it's not like the Pokemon then lived on the Stadium cartridge. Like
I used to use Stadium as a Pokemon bank.
Yeah, you could put them on your Stadium card.
Could you?
Yeah, you could do that back in the day.
Pokemon Stadium,
no
restarted
shit.
my blue, and then transferred them all back over.
Oh.
Yeah, you were able to do that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
I totally used to do that.
Huh. Didn't realize
but
that.
Yeah, I think the reason that worked was just because I think Pokemon Stadium's actual game code was an expansion off the Game Boy games code.
Yeah, probably. I mean, because you can
actually play Pokemon, your Game Boy games in Stadium if you wanted to play on your N64 for some reason.
Yeah, you could.
Because
you could play it on the big screen. I used to do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, because I think you can actually transfer those the glitched Mews over to Silver and Gold, the original.
Yes.
The original cards, but you can't. I don't think you can transfer anything up from the original. The original two gens. It's only Gen 3 and further, and then they went back and did the remake. So, the fact that you can do that with the digital download, and then and it's also cool because if you do the digital downloaded Game Boy games, there's a symbol that will be attached to your Pokemon.
To show that they came from the originals.
Exactly, yeah, which is pretty goddamn cool. But so I can now start playing Sun and Moon. That's exciting.
You have your 3 shiny Kabutos in your party?
I have my one shiny Kabuto that's leading my party, of course.
Of Kabuto?
No.
Captain Kabuto.
I could have if I wanted to.
You do want to. You're just trying to save face at this point.
But so that's been really exciting. But the thing is I didn't realize, and I guess I have to apologize to everyone. I didn't realize that Game Freak was actually waiting for me to finish Platinum before releasing the bank to Sun and Moon, because it happened the same day. I beat the Elite Four, and then they put out the bank like that exact same day.
So how are you liking Sun and Moon so far then?
It's okay. It's all right. I kind of prefer like the older games. Like I definitely really enjoyed my time with Platinum. You gotta wait. You gotta kind of wait until a little bit later on in the games because every Pokemon game sort of feels the same early on.
Yeah.
It's been nice going back to the better graphics. It's
not needing an HM slave.
I like. Oh yeah, not needing the HM slave is pretty clutch. I also really like the animations. The animations are fucking amazing, but the frame rate issues are just like out of the gate. I'm just like, wow, that is really obnoxious.
You have the older model 3DS.
I do,
right?
yeah.
How does it handle Sun and Moon?
It's oh gosh, every time there's a dual 2-on-2 battle, the frame rate drops. So
Excuse
much.
me,
It's
I'm pretty sure
so
that
bad.
Thought has told us that those are dramatic pauses.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, I'm sure they really feel like dramatic pauses too. Enough time to go to the bathroom.
But I mean, trying to adjust to the new structure, like no gyms, and instead you do the trials and stuff. That's weird. I mean, yeah, they're basically gyms, just sort of spread out amongst an entire geographic
My
area.
problem is that it's really easy. Like I went back and played Pokemon Yellow, and I used to wipe at least in every gym a couple
Holy
times because
shit.
they were like 10 levels higher than
That's
me.
because you're terrible, Nika.
Fucking Pokemon Platinum is legitimately the Elite Four, and then the champion. What's her name? The chick with the black horns.
Cynthia?
Is that it? Cynthia?
Horns?
But she's got some black shit on her head. I don't even know what that is. Is it they're like horns or like some kind of headpiece or some shit?
Nate, that's called hair.
No, it's not. She's blonde. You dumb fuck.
Stupid fucker.
God damn it.
Fuck you.
That was legitimately, I think, the hardest Pokemon battle I've ever experienced.
Of course she
I mean,
is.
once
She's
you
got
get
a
Sun and Moon
Garchomp.
and you start doing when you start fighting the end game
Fuck
trainers,
that
and then you
Garchomp.
start and you
Fuck
start
that
going
Garchomp.
for the Ultra Beasts and stuff, those are kind of sort of hard.
Fuck.
But everything up to that point is too easy.
Fuck that Garchomp because I'll tell you, I went into that fight. I had 5 Pokemon left, and it swept all fucking 5 of them.
my God.
Oh, swept all of one-shotted all of them, and I'm like looking at how can I boost someone's speed, and it would have taken I would have had to use X speed, and
It would have swept you before you had a chance to do anything. Yeah.
it just
so use X defend
fucking
first.
ruined me.
One of the things that I just recently found out about Sun and Moon is when you become the champion, every time you defeat the Elite Four, instead of fighting the champion, because that's you, a different NPC comes in to challenge you.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
You have to
That's kinda
defend
cool.
your title.
Yeah, so you're defending your
Yeah,
title.
I kind of like that. That was kind of cool.
Oh, that's true?
Yep.
A
I
study.
didn't realize that.
A study was released looking at how men and women cope with stress, and while talking with friends sits at the top of the list for both genders. 29% of men list video games as their method of stress release, compared to 18%
Masturbation?
of women who do.
Oh.
What was the percent of women?
18.
Who's talking? 18.
Now, yeah, how masturbation wasn't higher on that list, people were not being honest.
Wait, where was masturbation on the list?
I didn't see it on the list. People were not being honest.
Oh, or maybe they just did it. They're like, this is.
It's obvious that that's number one.
Oh, yeah,
So
maybe,
it's
yeah,
just-
maybe everyone.
Maybe they just didn't want to include the prurient interests of.
Although,
Well, they took away the highest and the lowest answer.
hold
apparently.
on. If you're masturbating while doing something else, which counts as the stress reliever?
I'm still going with masturbating.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no judgment on this conversation.
I'm just gonna say it's really difficult to do that while playing video games because you
just need tools for that.
Depends on which game you're playing
I
too.
mean, I bet you could.
You just need Uber Micro, man.
I was thinking of Fleshlight.
Oh. That is
This week's episode of Final Encountercast brought to you by Fleshlight.
Oh my
Take
God.
off your clothes.
We got to get that force feedback fleshlight for the next round of dating sims. I can't wait. Jesus.
I know that's a real thing,
Oh,
but
I
like
did.
the
That's a shame.
the fact that you know the branding title for it kind of worries me.
Force feedback?
I'm just saying.
That's been a term since the 90s, dude.
No. I'm just no judgment. It's okay.
He's totally judging you. I'm judging you. Let's just say that.
I'm terrified. I didn't know this was a thing.
Time to put your mouth where our balls are.
I don't know.
Jesus.
Force feedback's kind of a terrifying name for a fleshlight, isn't it?
No, that's... Oh, my God. Force feedback is the term for when a game gives you sensory feedback.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure it is.
Although, now that you say it, I think force feedback would be an outstanding name for a flashlight. That is amazing. Mobius Final Fantasy is making its release stateside with a release on Steam, marking a step away from being just a mobile game. The graphics have been upscaled and decompressed, but the game's content remains the same. Furthermore, if you already had an account on the mobile version, you can transfer it to the Steam version. On a side note, a collaboration event with Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to Mobius, and they have some of the 3D resources to let players experience the world. Though the remake is still a long ways off, this may quench your thirst for a bit of more FF7 for a while.
I can't even keep straight all the FF mobile games.
Right?
Yeah,
There's like 4.
Like Mobius, I thought that I had tried that one, but you're like, it's now coming stateside. So I'm like, well, what was the other one that I tried?
Well, there's World, there's Brave Exvius.
Brave Exvius is one, and that's the one that's going to be getting Ariana Grande.
Okay, maybe that's the one that I tried for a day, and I was like, nope.
And Mobius, I think you were able to play like the international client of Mobius already, but not a stateside release. I don't know, man. I can't keep up with all of these.
Yeah, it's
Don't
really
forget
dumb.
the first and best one, Final Fantasy All the Bravest.
Isn't that objectively the worst one?
Wasn't the first big one Record Keeper?
Record Keeper was the second one.
Yeah.
All the Bravest was the first.
Wait, that's a real one?
That
Yeah,
is.
you just do this. That's the whole fight. You have like a team of like 16 people, and you have to slide over your finger on them to attack.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's
really
the game.
Why are there so many mobile apps for this franchise? Wait, when's my FF11 mobile game
Well,
coming?
I know that
You're
there's
still not
actually
getting
in
a
Japan, the Shinra Corporation got a Before Crisis. That was a good
yeah,
one.
there was that too.
We never got that. That
We
was
never
actually
did.
like a good story in the FF7 expanded universe, and we never got it.
But they didn't even make that for like smartphones. That was still like
That was
during
the old phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was during the era of like
Nokia
flip
brick?
phones.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Dude, that was a weird game.
Hey, quick, let me punch in these numbers so now that my phone will play Flight of the Valkyrie when it rings.
I really don't understand like why they never tried to like make more out of that, because it was an expansion on the FF7 origin story, and it got the development. It never got ported, and they never did anything with it. There's
Americans did not play mobile games before smartphones.
Yeah, we were a
They
little
like,
slower
what the fuck
to
is a
pick it
mobile
up.
game?
Yeah.
I would say that even still mobile games are having trouble gaining traction. I mean, Pokemon Go is sort of an outlier in that regard, where it had that kind of success.
Excuse me, Flappy Bird.
There is fuck off.
No, see,
Flappy Bird was humongous.
That's the negative stigma I think that
It is, yeah.
mobile games have in America is that besides Pokemon Go, people think Flappy Bird, people think Temple Run,
Fruit Ninja,
Candy Crush, yeah.
And I mean,
But you can also download like Final Fantasy 5 and 6 on mobile iPhone and play it. Like
Yeah,
Well,
whenever anybody sees me playing anything on my phone, like, oh, is that Clash of Clans? And I just want to smack them in the face.
I have to believe that Square Enix is making boatloads of money off this stuff, or else they wouldn't keep investing in this.
Well, overall, they're not expensive to make.
No, they can't be. They
And,
can't be.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of them end up reusing assets.
Right, you can reuse assets. They're cheap to make, and frankly, you can release them at a low price point, so people will try them.
For a large degree, the script is written for most of the stuff. The story is already there. You're just either re-summarizing things at the beginning of a mission, sort of like with Record Keeper, or I don't know. Like, it seems like now Square Enix is like, yeah, we can just continue copy pasting things and get money that way, or we can like have this team of 2 people that have a cool idea write a story for it. And I mean, granted, the story's not that good for most of that kind of stuff, but I don't know that it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you really expect, like, the next great Final Fantasy story to be on a phone game?
Yeah. Tonbarian mentions Fallout Shelter, which was actually pretty cool. A lot of people got really into that and how it connected to Fallout 4. And that's sort of the thing that I think I would be really interested in seeing, is like this next generation of phone games that are going to end up being developed alongside the final product. One of the ones that I actually spent a lot more time with than I really even realized until I just thought about it was the mobile game that was attached to Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. It had like a bonus map feature where you could have the map be displayed on your mobile device, and it did a real-time sync with the game.
Why did I not know that was a thing?
Well, I don't know.
He said it on the show before.
Yeah, and even Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain actually had one that just wasn't as in depth as the Ground Zeroes one, but the Ground Zeroes one came with a base building, like basically mobile game that and it was basically what was it, Spec Ops from or Special Ops, whatever they were from the Peace Walker game, but just made into a mobile game.
Yeah,
it was kind of cool.
And if you recall, Fallout 4 had not the Shelter minigame, but it actually came with a companion app. You could access anything that was on your Pip-Boy. Now, it didn't end up really having much functionality except for, hey, I'm going to steal your phone while you're playing Fallout and start unequipping your equipment.
But I like the concept of having some kind of
I do too
connectivity between
I mean,
the
they
two.
used to do this. Didn't Final Fantasy VIII have like a chocobo forest?
Okay, that.
Okay, I'm
Not
gonna
on
let
your
you finish.
phone. It was like on your PS.
The Pocket Station. It had the Pocket Station.
It was the Pocket
the
Station.
Pocket
It was
Station.
never distributed or released in America.
Never made it stateside.
But yes, basically you had this little tiny like Tamagotchi type deal that you could do the Chocobo world in, and you could get items from that you would then take back to FF8.
You could get 2 more summons too.
This sounds a lot like the really, really, really stupid thing that the Dreamcast did, where the memory cards,
VMU,
where the memory cards were like mini games.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god,
similar.
that's so dumb.
That's what it was.
Oh my god! I forgot to feed my chows.
They're all dead.
I remember that the Sonic Adventure battle or whatever, you could play the chows on your Game Boy Advance and transfer those into the game too.
Yeah, you sure could.
That was a thing.
Weren't you able to get the Moomba summon out of that too?
Yep.
Oh,
it was an item. That's not a
really?
real summon.
Yeah, it was just an item. You could get,
okay.
Yeah.
Some Final Fantasy VIII fan you are.
I never had a Pocket Station.
Did I?
Did you?
No.
You would totally buy a Pocket Station. I could see you being one of those guys who
never
imports
released
it
to America.
Yeah,
it would have been in Japan.
Yeah, you'd have to get the modded PlayStation 1. Oh my god.
Apparently, Assassin's Creed Black Flag had a mobile app as well.
That's interesting.
I mean, like the thing is I think like if it has a tie-in with another, with an actual game, like a AAA developed game, that to me is a lot more interesting than necessarily, just making like either Brave Exvius or Mobius. I don't even know. I have no connection to what those games are supposed to be, other than they've got Final Fantasy involved in there. I had the same problem with Record Keeper. I thought the story behind Record Keeper, what they were trying to put together for a story, was just the dumbest shit, and I couldn't even like as a popcorn thing try to put it together. What's kind of nice, and I actually am just thinking about this as we're talking about it, but what's kind of cool about Pokemon Go is that it doesn't try to assert a story on top of you, right? Like it doesn't try to go, hey, here's like all of this, all of these storyline reasons that you have to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And I think like that's kind of nice. Like the fact that you don't have people, your gym leaders or whoever, like constantly.
Well, I like all the headcanon theories that go along with those.
I do too, because and that's the thing, is that like those can only exist because they made the choice to not pin that down into a specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that there's advantages to making some of those decisions as well. And I don't know, man, Square Enix is really aggressively going after this mobile market. I mean, really, they have been for years if you think about it. And I think it's smart on the one hand if you are, reusing assets, reusing storylines, like the re-releases of a lot of those early PlayStation 1 titles, the FF9, your FF7s, those types of remakes and re-releases, I think are really appropriate for mobile platforms.
Oh yeah, and just finding a way to use those assets again, because like otherwise you do kind of look at those upscaled remade graphics and you're like, what was the point of that?
Exactly.
If you don't find a way to use them in another way.
Exactly. But I really do question the things like Brave Exvius and Mobius and Record Keeper that, does seem very involved development side, but is also like not really terribly satisfactory when you actually play it. Like, there's a lot involved and going, a lot of thought and a lot of a lot of effort being put in those areas, and I don't really know why. Like, what is? I mean, I've never.
Couldn't we have taken those teams and destroyed them and put them all on FF15 and made that better?
I mean,
whoa, Nika, Nika, are you saying that there was actually room for improvement in Final Fantasy 15?
I have always.
She's always said that. Yeah.
I've been saying that since the beginning. That there are good things and not so good things. Are we ever going to do an FF15 episode? Because I can go on and on about that.
No, I don't think we need to do another episode on 15.
We've never done an episode on 15.
The weekend you're not here.
The weekend it launched, we did an episode on it.
Yeah. So speaking of Square Enix, big announcement coming out of Square Enix this week. They have announced that they've partnered up with Marvel.
Oh yeah.
To be able to make an Avengers game.
Interesting.
Now,
with Crystal Dynamics developing.
With Crystal yes. Now, this is the team that has spearheaded the Lara Croft games. They
got their start with Legacy of Kain.
Legacy
and
of
stuff
Kain.
Like
Which
Gex,
Legacy of Kain is probably one of my favorite game series ever. I love that game series, and I was really sad. I was really sad to see that it never really finished. Like, they never really brought it to its completion.
Didn't they try to bring it back in like the mid 2000s and it was awful?
No, I mean, there was Defiance. Defiance was the last entry in the series. That was for PlayStation 2.
Okay.
And that was like the last canonical entry.
That's what it is. Another company picked it up and tried to make it.
Yeah, there was another company that picked up and made Blood Omen 2.
Yeah.
That was really awful and is considered, I think, non-canonical.
Yes. Not
and then Square Enix did go back to the world of Legacy of Kain with the MOBA Nosgoth.
Oh, MOBA.
That's based. Yeah. Nosgoth is the world that Legacy of Kain takes place in. So they are using it in some form or fashion, but this is a really big surprise. And again, Crystal Dynamics is leading this.
And Montreal Eidos, right?
Right. Robbie, I think I've got to kind of defer to you, being the biggest Marvel fan in the room. How are you feeling about the prospect of Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics taking on the Avengers?
I think that you have all the right companies behind it as far as money goes, as far as influence in both the industries. I think that if anyone's going to make it happen, Square Enix as the publisher, Marvel and all that Disney money behind them, and then Crystal Dynamics. Great developer. We've seen nothing but good things from them recently. Yeah. I mean, they've been behind Tomb Raider since, what was the one where she was like underwater?
Like 2011
sharks?
One, right?
Yeah. They've actually, no, I think before that they've been with.
There was that 09 release.
Yeah, they've been with Tomb Raider for a while, which wasn't always that great, but what they've recently done with it, amazing.
Yeah.
The biggest worry that I have, is if you're gonna make a Spider-Man game, all right, it could be sweet. If you're gonna make an Iron Man game, it's gonna be sweet. But this idea that you're going to have a game where you could pick from all the Avengers, because let's be honest, if you're making an Avengers game, you better be able to play as the Avenger of your choice. Right? Otherwise, people are going to feel extremely slighted.
Ant-Man.
If you want to play as Ant-Man, fine. You should be able to play as Ant-Man. But all of these heroes operate so differently that I feel like it's going to be an impossible situation to try and make a game where you could be any one of them. What you're going to end up with is Disney Infinity.
Well, yeah, or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade games.
Or it's all just a big troll, and the Avengers are just going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3.
What? God, shut up.
That would be the troll, Nika.
We would watch Callow jump out of building.
Yeah.
No, but one of the things, kind of what
shut up.
Kind of what you mentioned though is that you'd expect them all to play very differently. When I think if you do a game about Spider-Man, the core gameplay element for me has to be the movement and the swinging around the city.
That's right.
Whereas if I'm going to play a game about Iron Man, I almost want freaking Armored Core, where I get to select my different parts of the suit and build it and put it together myself.
Exactly.
And that's such a massive change in gameplay. How do you fit that under one title?
Well, I'm wondering which heroes are going to be included on this. I mean, we know from the announcement trailer, we see Iron Man's glowy hand stuff. We see Cap's shield. shield. We see Thor's hammer. Did we see anyone else's even weapons from that? It was just those three.
Yeah. I can almost guarantee you that anyone who's appeared in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to make some type of appearance.
Bullshit.
Not as a playable character, but they'll appear.
Not necessarily as a playable character.
All right. Okay, that's what I was going to say, because, like, how do you make gameplay for Ant-Man fun? How do you make...
Ant-Man's the best.
You know what I mean? Like, there's some very specific...
Shrink and grow or something.
I actually had an idea, like, not more than 5 minutes ago, because this is actually something we talked about off camera at first, right? And nobody really had a lot of optimism for it. Like, the idea is cool, but when we think about how it's executed, when was there ever a really good, like, Avengers or Marvel game that wasn't just a fighting game?
Yeah.
Right?
They're all, like, brawler beat-em-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, or you have to go way back to, like, the Genesis days where they're just, like, side scrollers. And
Maximum Carnage.
And
I think that was the only one.
What a great game.
I think that was the only game that in the X-Men, like one of the very first X-Men games.
It's DC, but there was a really good Batman side scroller too on Genesis.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but again, if we look at even the successful superhero ones, they're all solo games, and they're very much designed around the skill set of that superhero, the Batman ones being the most notable, right? So the way that I kind of started to look at it is, how do you make a good game, right? Like, first of all, as far as anybody goes, what's one of the core concepts of a game that's going to make it stick with you? That's obviously going to be the narrative, right?
Mm-hmm. Good gameplay.
Okay, but we know that strong narratives and strong characters are something that can draw a lot of people in, right?
Right.
Start thinking about what my favorite game was. Mass Effect. You take the story and the characters away from that, the gameplay itself, is it really anything that's all that notable or unique or amazing? Not really. So what if for the Avengers game, you don't play as the Avengers, you take on the role of a SHIELD agent, and you get to pick your squad mates?
Are you thinking like almost like XCOM or something like that?
Maybe not like XCOM to where it's like a strategy-based thing, but if you're not actually playing the superhero, if you just pick them as squad mates, then it's not as important of a thing to know how to see how they play. Then you would just have power sets around your squad mates that you're having them use. You wouldn't have to worry about getting web slinging down as well as like thruster battle down.
Then
that sounds like the worst game ever.
Yeah, the headline from that is going to be Square Enix puts out a Avengers game where you don't actually play as the fucking Avengers.
Yeah, you better be careful about titling that the Avengers.
Get to make your OC.
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean. And again, that doesn't sound terribly fun to me. That sounds like setting up gambits in FF12.
That's like saying if you were playing as Mass Effect and you didn't have any of the powers, like all the cool things that your teammates can do. They just do that, and you can't do that at all.
But you still have control over when they use certain powers, because still playing in Mass Effect, I still have fun with the combat, but the main draw of it is the story and the characters. Being able to interact and fight alongside Cap or Iron Man or Ant-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them giving you like 4 different storylines where maybe you can play as like Thor, Iron Man, Spider-Man, whatever, like 4 characters, and then the other characters are alongside of you, but you still have the option to play like 4, so they only have to do 4 really in-depth characters.
That seems like a lot of development. I mean, it's possible that they go that way, but if they do that, I would expect those storylines to be fairly short if they're going to go that route with it.
Either that or it's a game that you can actively swap characters in and out or select them for a specific stage, and then you don't have the ability to create that stage around the powers. I mean, it's either like the game is going to have to force you to switch in between characters, but between levels. Or after a certain story arc is done, that's going to suck.
Patchy. It's going to seem patchy, like you're playing a bunch of different games at the same time.
Yeah, it's going to feel like it is going to feel like a patchwork. And then the only other thing that you can do is make it so that every single character is available on every single level or every single map, and I think that's going to feel as unsatisfying because then none of the characters are going to stand out from each other. They're going to have sort of what Final Fantasy XIV kind of suffers from in that they have similar role sets and therefore similar abilities, and really just don't end up standing out from each other.
Everyone's going to have to feel kind of samey, or like any character who can fly is going to be busted.
You'll have like your blasters that can shoot people from range. You'll have your, like close range fighters that just go up and you mash buttons to do a bunch of combos. So in my head, the only way that something like this works and is fun or interesting in any way is, if you have an OC and you're actually playing through like some type of brand new storyline, because at that point too, if you're not actually playing as any of the Avengers, then they have the freedom to kill people off if they want to. You're playing through like a Civil War type storyline and you see Cap die. Or, it's working up to the an Infinity Wars culmination, and people are actually going to die. If you're actually playing as the Avengers, you don't really have freedom to do anything specific with any one character, because what if the person playing likes to play as that character? Or they're going to have to pull something out of the hat that none of us can fathom.
Right.
The only way I can see a satisfying way for you guys to all play as the Avengers and be able to pick, I mean, this game we'd be talking about as a Game of the Year candidate if they pulled it off.
Yeah, and I think that's really sort of the at the heart of the discussion is that, like, does Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics end up putting this into a format that we already know with like an open world quest structure and a hub and spoke sort of quest type structure, or do they do something entirely different? Do they do something that we can't even really conceive? Because, and I've got to say, the new Resident Evil is in some ways responsible for this, but there are people who are adept enough at programming and mapping out the way that situations respond, or programming ends up responding, to make incredibly dynamic scenes and incredibly dynamic encounters. And I think that, if that's the direction that games are pushing in, because the game industry is a very much follow the leader mentality. You get one game that does something really, really well. I'm going to use Grand Theft Auto 5 as an example. Yep. Does the open world thing, the quest structure, it does it very, very well, and does it very, very creatively, and hides a lot of those, those mechanics under things that are fun and interesting, so they don't even really feel like mechanics. And then what do other game companies do? They take that format and they copy paste it and put their own assets in there, and you get a whole lot of games that really end up resembling themselves.
Well, and it's interesting from Resident Evil 7's perspective too, because I mean, what is RE7 doing that it didn't already do in like 2 and 3? Like, at the end of the day, it's kind of returned to that formula of it's tight hallways and monsters. You don't have much ammo, and even back in the days of Resident Evil 2, we're praising them for having like different ways that boss encounters can go. They had that as early as Resident Evil 2.
Well, I think that's the big success story to Resident Evil 7 is that they found a way to return back to form
in the modern
because they
era.
were starting to lose something through like 4 through 6.
It's because it's the presentation on it. I think definitely in the early Resident Evil games, there were multiple ways that you could approach doing a boss, but I think that some of the presentation suffers when you put those kinds of dynamics in there. And this Resident Evil game kind of proves that you don't actually have to suffer on the presentation to work a lot of those things in if you do it well enough.
And I mean, so everyone knows, we're talking about the first boss fight in Resident Evil 7, where
impressive.
It's so good. Like
so
the various things that can happen with the car in the room, and
what? Thinking about it now, I'd actually like to go back to something you said a little bit earlier, Callie, about if I envision the Marvel game working similar to like an XCOM structure, and the more that I think about it, I think putting you in control of all the Avengers in like a Nick Fury sort of position. Imagine having the base like you have in XCOM, right? Being able to upgrade certain heroes, research new tech for the different heroes, upgrading Iron Man's suit, giving different types of gadgets to people, and then deploying them out into a mission where you get to choose 5 or 6 Avengers, because at that point too, Nate, you could actually have a huge roster of Avengers, from C heroes all the way up to A ranks.
That's sort of what I think the direction. I definitely think that if they're going to go for having multiple characters, that they should have the widest possible spectrum of characters. But I also sort of feel like what you're suggesting, Robbie, is a gameplay type that is underappreciated and does not sell very well.
That's true.
And I think that both Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, and Marvel are really looking at either they could go, yeah, okay, the Avengers name will push this type of game back into popularity, but I don't know that that's what they're trying to do. Again, you're dealing with an industry that's very much follow the leader, and the structure of the game is very much in question. And if I had to assume what the structure was going to be right now, I would assume that it would be open world with a hub and spoke quest structure. That's what I would assume. But we don't know. They could go a different direction on that. Should they? I mean, I don't know. Is it going to, at the end of the day, is it going to sell the most units? Again, I don't really know.
I think that this is the point, like earlier in Marvel's career, before they became the giant that they are right now with the MCU, right? They were selling their properties off everywhere, right? We had a bunch of failed movies throughout the years. We've had games that mostly have been pretty uninspired, right? But they've never been in the same juggernaut of a position as they are now. Could they just go the follow the leader thing? What's going to sell easy? Yeah. Probably. But with Crystal Dynamics, names like Square Enix, Disney, Marvel behind it, now's the chance that they have. If they wanted to come out with something new or try something a little more underappreciated, I think with Marvel, Square Enix, and as big as, I mean, when was the last time that anyone's been like, oh, we're going to announce something big like from Marvel, and it wasn't comic or MCU related, right? They have some mystery new show under development for ABC. I thought that's what this announcement was going to be. The fact that it was a video game kind of blew me away.
Right.
Okay. And they're doing all kinds of, really cool and out of the box stuff with the MCU. So I think that now might be a good time if they're going to try and break into the video game industry to try something new or to try to resurrect something that's underappreciated.
I don't know, dude. I just don't know. Because again, you're not just dealing with developers that have a very follow the leader mentality. I think gamers very much have a follow the leader mentality, which is how we have a Call of Duty game that can move that many units. Because you want to be able to play with your friends. That's what everyone says. But at the end of the day, I think that there is a fear of new. There's a fear of new things. When people are presented with a structure that they don't understand or that frustrates them, look at the reaction to Dark Souls before people found out that it was a good game. People trashed that game up and down. I can
easily agree with. Look at Final Fantasy fans. Every time a new Final Fantasy is out, they're like, "Well, it's not the last Final Fantasy, so it's not going to be good."
That's true.
No matter what, every time every Final Fantasy has tried to change the battle system in some way, and every fan is gonna be like, "Well, it's not the materia system. Well, it's not the junction system. Well, it's not." It's always something different.
Yeah, you almost can't win.
It's true, but attaching a major IP to it can sometimes override those fears of going after a new game. Here's what you might see. You might see in a couple of years' time, if it comes out like that, people are going to praise it, be like, "Oh yeah, it pioneered the way," and people are going to be like, "Well, wait, what about XCOM? that kind of game already existed." No, it started with Marvel.
Also, keep in mind that Marvel as a company is a game that pushes, as a company, they push the envelope. They make changes. Look at their all new, all different universe right now. The amount of
Man, you know what? Normally I would challenge the fuck out of that, but I gotta say, Disney has been surprising the crap out of me in about the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
The fact that Rogue One, spoilers if you haven't seen it, I'll just say the way that movie ends, the fact that came out of Disney, I had so much respect for that. And I appreciated it because it was like that was the ending that movie deserved to have. It was the emotional note that it deserved to have, and Disney felt that as well and was like, okay, let's do it. And the thing is that you can even see, you can go back and look at interviews from the director and from some of the behind the scenes people that were involved, and they actively said no, we had actually shot it another way where the heroes a totally different ending, and where the exact opposite thing ends up happening, and Disney ended up going I don't know that works. We heard about a ton of reshoots that happened that was contained in those reshoots. And I gotta say, man, they're making all of the right calls. There is someone who is very, very smart over at Disney right now, because they have just made a series of very smart borderline subversive calls between Frozen. Frozen was one of the first ones where it's like there's no tight romantic structure to it, and there's no real male lead here.
Yep.
Holy shit! All right.
Yeah, like that. The prince ends up being like a very real. Like you can't trust the hot prince. No way.
Spoilers.
Okay.
It was
Hans is the real lead that is in all of our hearts.
Yeah.
Thank you very
I
much.
mean, I thought that was a very bold because I mean, how many women on a daily basis deal with a villain like him in real life? And that's why I really appreciate.
Well, and Marvel's been making a lot of choices like that in their comics too. I mean, the fact that they made Sam Wilson Captain America, and then when people were up in arms about it, they're like, you know what? Captain America's a Nazi. How you like that?
Yeah, but
he's always been a Nazi. How you like that?
Yeah, well, hold up.
Guess
But
what?
they
The
didn't
Hulk
stick
is
to that.
Asian now.
They didn't stick to that Captain America thing. They backpedaled on that one in issue 2. They're like, no, but actually, it was just all brainwashing. So he's
Was
actually
it
not
just
a Nazi.
brainwashing?
Yeah,
that's bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. They completely backpedaled that.
But I mean,
storyline.
right now, like they basically killed off Tony Stark. I think in a recent, like at the end of Civil War. I mean, he still somehow exists within like.
Well, there's like 3 different Iron Man comics.
Yeah, but I mean, they've been
There's
making
a lot of different alternate universes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like their new all new universe. They've been making really big pushes towards like diversity and including all kinds of different stuff. I'm telling you, if there were any a group of companies that would be able to make something work that anybody else in the industry might go, that's not a safe bet. I think you have those companies in league right now.
Yeah, I though Square Enix, I don't think
as a publisher, yes.
Square Enix, come on,
they published one of my all-time favorite games.
Okay,
Life is Strange was awesome.
We just got done talking about the fact that between like 13, 14, and 15, how much the games change and how they're always trying to do something different. This might actually work in their favor for once.
I mean, okay, but you're talking about Crystal Dynamics, who tends to make games inside. They've been making Tomb Raider for a long friggin' time.
That's the one.
And when you go back, like honestly, when you go back and you compare Soul Reaver to Tomb Raider and in its platforming elements, they were virtually the same game.
Yes, no, I agree. And all of this, that's the one outlier to this theory is that Crystal Dynamics, it's all platforming in like an open world quest structure-y way.
Yeah, and again, Square Enix, I think, especially since becoming Square Enix, since dropping the Square Soft and becoming Square Enix, I feel like that's the company who, in a development standpoint, has made the safest decisions. They've made, this was the same company that, wrote that scene where it looks like Saz kills himself and then 2 seconds later you find out that he doesn't do it. It's like Square Enix has pulled almost every punch that they've set up for, whereas I think that, Marvel, and I mean, you've made a pretty good case that it hasn't done that as often, or it's made some very bold choices or tried to make some very bold choices. And, I think that's kind of what's needed right now. Bold choices are sort of like the thing that I think that will make a title stand out. It could be the thing that kills a title, but I think that's the thing that's needed in both gamings and narratives.
Since the inception of the MCU, and this is what I've always argued sets apart DC from Marvel, is they are extremely involved in the storytelling and the writing of all of their projects. So yes, you're right. Square Enix tends to pull a lot of punches, and I think maybe since this is at the core of it, it's going to be like a Marvel property, right? They safeguard their stuff very, very closely. So at least during the writing portion of it and like the story and whatnot, I would assume that Marvel's going to have their fingers in deep, and hopefully that stops Square Enix from pulling too many punches.
We'll see. I mean, I know that you guys are also Marvel fans as well. Nika, how about you? How do you feel about the prospects of Square Enix publishing an Avengers game?
I mean, I'll definitely check it out. I enjoy the Marvel universe. I enjoy the MCU. I've never really been a comic book person, so I wasn't super into Marvel until the movies came out, but I mean, it really depends on the format of it. It's hard to say. But like Square Enix is a promising company. I don't know much about the other company though.
Crystal Dynamics is basically Legacy of Kain and the Tomb Raiders.
Right. Yeah, Eidos Montreal.
Okay, like the new Tomb Raiders?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the old ones. Yeah.
Both.
Yep. Okay, but they're both. Okay, because the Tomb Raiders has always been a successful
I think Tomb Raider
game.
Underworld, that was one, right?
I don't I don't remember. I don't know the Tomb Raider series very well.
I think that one was the first one they did, but they've done like the past 6 or 7 Tomb Raider games.
Okay.
I mean, so that's promising, I guess. But it's hard to say. Like, Square Enix has put out some fantastic games that aren't Final Fantasy, and they've also put out some really shitty ones that aren't Final Fantasy. So it's really hard to say. So, I mean, I'll definitely be watching it closely, and I'm interested, but whether or not I make a day one purchase is up in the air right now.
All we need is like one trailer / gameplay.
We need some
and
gameplay.
That would clear up so much of this.
But I gotta say, like, I mean, again, I think that there's also a bit of a branding problem, and I do understand that, you know, Marvel as a brand, the MCU as a cultural phenomenon, these things are way, way, way bigger than they have been for decades. But when I think video games, I don't think superheroes. I never have.
Ever.
Absolutely.
Because it's been
problematic. Yes, because every superhero, nearly every superhero game that we've ever had has had some kind of problematic aspect to it. And I have to wonder, like, what is that aspect? Is it something intrinsic about being a superhero that you already kind of know that it's being set up that you're going to win in the end? I mean, and again, this is not every single superhero game. Obviously, Arkham, the Arkham,
Batman
the Arkham series were really, really well done. But again, that was another structure that had already existed. The sort of stealth beat 'em up kind of gameplay.
Well, and that game too was like they took Batman and they say, hey, what style of gameplay works for Batman?
Yes,
and
exactly.
they made a game out of it.
But I can't say that with the Avengers. I could say that if it was a single superhero, maybe throughout the whole thing. But being the Avengers, that's the thing that really throws me off, is having the inclusion of the squad in there.
I think they have an idea, because when you look back to before the MCU launched, you're right. The idea of a shared universe existed before, right? And then Marvel came in with Disney, and they blew that concept out of the water, and now everybody's trying to do what they're doing, but nobody's succeeding in the same way. And again, you're right. There's been no real good, like, superhero video games. I mean, Batman's doing well, but when you look back through the history of video games, superhero video games don't really do all that great. And now suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, Marvel hops in with Square Enix. You have to think that someone somewhere had some type of plan. They had a spark, right?
But I don't know, but is this more? I think that this might have more to do with the fact that Disney and Square Enix have worked together. They already have those channels established.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. With Kingdom Hearts, they had already been doing business together. Why not continue to do business with the person that you're already doing business with?
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy about that is that I guess means that Disney is totally okay with the production schedule of things like Kingdom Hearts 3, which they, honest to God, should not be.
No.
If I was Disney right now, I would be fucking furious.
But Square Enix developed FF15. Square Enix is developing Kingdom Hearts. Crystal Dynamics, which put out the Tomb Raider games at pretty good intervals, is the one developing.
That and I think that's the major caveat there. And that to me says, like, okay, like, we're willing to keep working with you, but like, let's get some other actual boots on the ground when it comes to the
Crystal
development.
Dynamics, you throw a few, Marvel people in there, and then you just give them Square Enix's money.
Right.
I can get behind that, I think.
Yeah.
You got that 90s money.
It's really interesting. I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot that ends up happening because of this partnership, and especially if the games are good, which is, I think, our primary concern.
Yes, obviously.
All of our concerns are really, like, at the end of the day, is it going to be good?
Yep, and I just like to say, as much as I want this to be good, guys, we should probably all, take it with a grain of salt. And
brace for it, because
we for all we know, we could just be getting a Disney Infinity, but for more mature
right.
content.
Oh my God.
I mean, you talk about a way too soon speculation. Like, we haven't seen any gameplay yet. We need a trailer bad for this.
Yeah. But that doesn't keep us from speculating. That's great part about this show. I thought that we would share our thoughts on that. We've got one email here that we'd like to read before we go, because I'm really interested in this issue that the emailer ends up bringing up. So who wants to take this?
I got it.
Okay.
Kelly can take it.
All right.
Hello, Final Encounter Cast. I would like to first say I love the show and I hope to continue on listening.
Thank you.
Twitch Prime sub has been around for a few months now, and it is incredible for both viewers and broadcasters. However, I noticed some big Twitch streamers kind of beg or outright say they should use their Twitch Prime sub since it is a new month.
Yep.
Even successful Twitch streamers such as Lyric or Summit1G, who already have 1,000 plus subs on their on their own, always say, "Hey guys, it's a new month. Use your Twitch Prime sub on me." Or, "Hey, someone subbed me real quick. I need to check my HUD display." That's funny. As a viewer, I find these comments kind of annoying or bothersome, considering the person who is saying this is making more money than they possibly ever could even deserve. I personally rather see Twitch Prime subs be used on smaller Twitch streamers who actually need it. I am just curious, what is your guys' take on the whole Twitch Prime sub in general?
I think that's pretty scummy. I've not I've not run across anyone who I've
Begs
seen
for
them.
Twitch
Yeah,
Prime.
I've seen them do it on their channel. But I mean. When you bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah, of course there are going to be people who do that.
I think the whole I need to check my HUD, someone sub is kind of skeevy.
That one, yeah.
But for someone, but I feel like if you're just kind of talking about all the reasons why, how to sub, we're like, oh yeah, if you want to see more of us, sub this button. Or if you don't know what to do with your Twitch Prime sub, why don't you consider subbing to us? I don't see what's wrong with that.
At the beginning of the month, when all those subs have dropped off, reminding people, even if you are someone like Lyric, who's scummy besides this, right? I don't think the act of being like, hey guys, remember it's the first of the month, so maybe check to see if your subs have overlapped. Yeah. I don't think that's that scummy.
Hey, Agent Goomba just subbed to our channel.
Yeah.
With Twitch Prime?
Twitch Prime, yeah.
I'm not sure if our HUD's working, so
we're gonna need somebody else.
Check that. No,
that's really
when Lyric was getting on about he was mad that Twitch Prime those subs came out when he couldn't capitalize. I'm dude, shut up, you're an asshole.
Dude,
but I have no problem with anyone who just hey guys, first of the month, remind you I'm a badass. I stream for you as much as I can. Please drop that sub for me. I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, I guess
it's the presentation of it, really.
Yeah, it depends on how long you're going on about it.
Yeah.
How long, if it's because the way that the email made it sound is there are people out there who are really actively ramping up the begging for this. And I mean, being that we are a channel that's supported by our listeners, by the way, patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Thank you guys, because we are above $2,000 this month, which means that this show is funded. We love
promotional plug.
We love doing the show each and every single week for you. So visit patreon.com/Limit Break Radio
so scummy.
to learn more about our Patreon program and how you can continue to fund not just this program, but our other Final Fantasy XIV show, Limit Break Radio. But if you're going spend your Twitch Prime with me because other people are bullshit, or small channels are bullshit, I don't know, that seems like a pretty actively destructive
it's the way
destructive thing. But it's I also understand what this person who emailed in is saying at the same time, because they're going dude, don't these guys already have a bajillion subs already? Why do they need to beg for more? And I mean, I don't know.
Because basically Twitch Prime it's those, the people who really want to help out or sub to channels, but they just don't have that little bit of extra money, and now Twitch Prime is giving it to them. So anyone who might be, oh, sorry, I can't really sub this month, I think these bigger streamers are looking look, you have no excuse now. You have a free sub, you should give it to me.
Like Zero Veins just did.
Yeah, I think it's all in how you phrase it that determines whether or not it's scummy.
Yeah, I think it really is. If you sit there and be like, no, you should be using it on me because I do so much for you.
Right.
That's really kind of rude.
What I think is
but when you're doing your whole spiel and you really just say, hey, you have that Twitch Prime sub, consider me. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, if it's worked into your whole this is how you support the channel thing, that's fine.
Yeah,
I guess.
Go for it.
Yeah, what I think is more scummy, and I realize it from a business standpoint, is the fact that you don't have a way to be you know what, I would like this to be reoccurring. If my Twitch Prime is reoccurring, keep giving it to this channel, because that way if you forget to re-up it, that's a month that goes away. And I understand that Amazon is banking on the fact that you forget to, so we don't have to pay that extra little bit out.
Right, yeah, so they just get the free money.
Yeah.
I guess it... Yeah, it really sort of depends on the context. Again, if it's worked into your whole, this is how you support the channel speech, I think that's probably appropriate. But, if you're, I don't know, man, if you're, actively deriding other channels, or, if you have a ton of subs or whatever, I don't know,
because
man.
here's the thing: you can see in the chat who's a Twitch Prime sub, right? So like if you're someone who like actually looks and calls them out, like, hey, you know, who you sub to this week for your Twitch Prime?
Yeah, that's dirty.
I also
it's
think
not me. Why not?
That's dirty business.
Well, that's kind of sketchy. I also think that it would be kind of sketchy to structure your stream schedule around that reset, around that first of the month, so that you can try to nab more. I think that that's kind of a little sketchy. But you know what? I don't know. Like, there are people out there who very closely craft their stream schedule far more than we do. I mean, you know, we take some flack from people because we tend to say, like, look, we think of our shows as intrinsically podcast products. Like, it's intrinsically a show that's made to be downloaded probably through iTunes, but through whatever podcast aggregator you
we
have.
Take flack for that?
And yeah, because there are people like on YouTube who are like, well, if you have this YouTube presence, you should be paying attention to it. You should be engaged in it. Like, there are people on YouTube who think that we should be replying to every single comment that we get.
No,
and it's just like, sorry.
Even the most active YouTubers don't do that.
Yes.
We don't even make. We don't get any kind of revenue from YouTube, do we? We don't have that.
No,
absolutely not. No. Neither of our YouTube channels are monetized in any form or fashion. And the thing is that when we talk about how we approach YouTube and how we approach the visual presentation of this show or Limit Break Radio, we always do it. You know, we always say, like, look, we think of the show as a podcast product. But there are people who will complain about, like, on this show, oh, well, why is it that the cameras only switch for like 5 minutes at a time and then it goes back to that static shot for like the majority of the show? It's because I have to run this shit and I can't pay attention to everything at once.
Not to mention, are you so entertained by watching the camera switch around? Just do what everybody else does and just put this up in the background and get something.
Well, no, but I think that there are other people, you know, like, people are used to other channels' presentations when they do stuff like this, where they think of their product as a stream. Was that it? Was,
that it?
No message.
Cheer.
Oh, no. Just a
it
cheer.
was a bit donation, no message.
Oh,
yeah.
good cheer.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's cheer at you. Hooray!
Yay!
Hooray!
But seriously, like, it doesn't make any. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, that seems absolutely weird to me.
Yeah. So,
like, my opinion, like, guys, like, at the end of the day, for these people, streaming is a business, so you're going to want to do everything you can to increase your
This
business.
email has been a subliminal message to make all the people in the chat sub to LBR. It's made me want to sub twice. Danny Arrow is Illuminati. Confirmed.
thanks, Thor.
We're gonna start reading this email every week.
That's right.
That's a good one.
We're just going to rephrase it each and every single week. No, but I
don't think it's scummy to, like, center your streaming around the first of the month, because that's when you're going to get the most revenue.
But again, I because I don't think of our business, I don't think of our product as a stream product. Like, again, all of the streaming shit that we do is always an afterthought. We said it's sort of like how we think of Checkpoint Radio as a product that is being designed and crafted for radio, and the podcast is an afterthought.
And then we're going to put it here just in case you can't listen to it.
Exactly. If the podcast becomes the afterthought. Like, even though that's what we have built the majority of our business on, and that's the structure that we're used to, the podcast has to become the afterthought because we have to be able to maintain that this is a radio product. So, you know, like, I it's hard for me, because my initial reaction is, yeah, that is pretty scummy. But at the same time, I'm not a streamer. I don't think of myself as a streamer. I don't set, I don't set my products up as a streamer would. So maybe that's not as big of a deal, or maybe that's not as scummy as.
Yeah, I think it's just in how you phrase it, honestly.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think if you're actively deriding another show or another channel or whatever.
As the person who streams the most out of all of us, the fact that there are, like, Twitch Prime subs out there, I mean, there are so many people in the world who use Twitch Prime, never even heard of Twitch, right? So it's just like all these free subs are just going to waste, and whether you're giving to me or somebody else, like, you could be supporting
give it to
a
someone.
gamer. Yeah. So it's just like, give it to somebody.
Narnon in the chat is going like, but radio is live and so is a stream. Yeah, I understand that. But when you're building a product and you're thinking of all of the pitfalls and all of the problems that you could end up experiencing, you've got to be able to solve certain problems first. So the first set of priorities that we have are making sure that A, the show is of the quality that we want, and B, is being distributed on deadline and on time to the affiliates so that the affiliates can air them. That supersedes any kind of schedule that we set for the podcast or any kind of schedule that we set for anything else. And so, when and a lot of like the thing about Checkpoint is that is not a live product. Checkpoint's not live at all. We record those bits, like we record them as you would a live show, but we definitely edit the crap out of them and we time them very, very specifically. And if there is like a ramp that we mess up, then we got to go back and be able to edit and make sure that all of those bits are on time. So that disrupts the actual production process for making a podcast or what we would normally do for a podcast. It changes that. And so making sure that you can make the product that you intend to make and distribute first, that's got to supersede everything else. And again, I don't ever think of our products as streams. Like, I really don't. That is sort of built after we've built the core of the product. And if it works, it works. That's great. Will you ever end up seeing a live streamed Checkpoint? Maybe. I don't know.
Will what you hear during a live stream Checkpoint actually be what goes to air? Hell no, it will be edited.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like I think if we did a live streamed Checkpoint, it would be under the auspices of like, look, like this is we're collecting material for our main show that's the show that's going to come out on Thursdays. This is not representative of exactly how it's going to be.
To me, the big thing that makes, I think, streaming different from podcasts, from radio shows, or even YouTube comment is the chat. You react to the chat. I mean, you see all like the really big, huge streamers with all the most follows and subs are people who incorporate the chat the most. And because we set things up as a podcast, we reference it every once in a while.
Right.
But it's not something that we can constantly be doing because we have show notes. We have this outline that we have to get through.
Even other talk shows that you can watch on Twitch don't quite have the same aesthetic that we put into our shows. Like our talk show, I think, the momentum moves between hosts a lot quicker, partially because we're all in the same room, but partially because we don't have that thing that streamers allow themselves to do where they can drop the conversation momentum. We have the same rule for ourselves that radio makes for itself, where no dead air, never any dead air. Dead air is the worst possible situation. And we kind of take that and put that on ourselves. And and that also it sort of alleviates a technical aspect for us, where like if the stream drops, just keep doing the show because it's being made as a radio show, it's being made as a podcast, and therefore the recorder doesn't stop. We're not pulling the audio from because a lot of ways that I think like State of the Realm might structure their shows, they structure that for a stream and then take what they do on stream and repurpose that content to either make their podcast feed or whatever. That is not how we structure our stuff. We're not taking the YouTube video and ripping the audio out of it and putting that out as the podcast. The podcast is the product. And so because that takes center stage, I think that it gives us a completely different dynamic. It gives us a completely different, different momentum, different aesthetic. And, just like Checkpoint, when we had premiered that on this show, a lot of people were like, hey, this is kind of like Final Encountercast, but like more refined. Yeah. And again, that's what happens when you think and craft your product for the medium that it's going to be primarily made for. And so, of course, things are going to be different. Can it also be a podcast? Of course it can also be a podcast. But you have to think of the product as something that is intrinsic to the medium that you're using it primarily for. So, I just a little bit of an opinion there.
A little bit.
Thank you very much for that email. No name given. I really like your name a lot. It's pretty clever.
Is that hyphenated?
I don't think he gave one.
Oh, is that what that means?
It was capitalized, so maybe it wasn't given.
No, we definitely appreciate it. We appreciate the emails. If you want to email the show, finalencountercast@gmail.com. We also appreciate the donations as well as the cheers. Thank you guys so much.
And the sub we got
And the
earlier.
subs, yes, the couple of subs that we got since talking about Twitch subs and Twitch Prime. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. We really appreciate it. And, of course, for your support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Remember, guys, Checkpoint Radio is getting set to debut in just 2 weeks. We have 3 cities officially signed on for Checkpoint Radio. We will be debuting the show in Oklahoma City. That's been our longest interested.
They didn't even hear anything about the concept of the show and was like, yeah.
Yeah, they got it kind of sight unseen.
Sure.
Yeah, they really got in on the ground floor. But we've got 2 other cities we mentioned last time, Vancouver as well as Denver.
Hey.
We're going to be, it looks like the show is going to be premiering on all 3 of those markets. And the broadcast date is going to be somewhere in between Thursday, February the 9th and Sunday, February the 12th. It depends on when each station wants to put it in their broadcast schedule, but as soon as we have confirmation of when you can expect to hear us, we'll be sharing that info with you over at checkpointradio.com. So make sure that you have that bookmarked and check back with that, because that's where, when we do eventually end up putting up the podcasts, that's where all of that will go. So we hope that you'll already be there and be set and ready for that content when it starts in just a couple of weeks. We're really excited. We've got some great interviews on the books. We've got one coming up this week that we're really excited about. So you guys are definitely going to want to tune in and check out Checkpoint Radio. Again, that's all over at checkpointradio.com. Again, thank you to our patrons, patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. And one thing I want to mention, I have been really, really bad about posting the full-length demos of Checkpoint over at Patreon. I fixed that this morning. There is the first demo that has been posted today. In just a couple of days, the second demo is scheduled to go up, and I'm going to make it a point to schedule the third and fourth demos to make available, or the third demo, and then I think it was the hour-long demo that I was going to put out. So there you guys go. You guys can hear all of those over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio if you've given even just $1. So please consider it. Thank you guys so much.
Love the show, guys, but to tell the truth, I just wanted to be the top cheer.
Well,
thanks.
You
Mission
are
accomplished.
Top
There you
cheer
go.
For that rest of 5 minutes of this show.
Can we clear that? Can we clear that just to annoy him?
Aw, don't do that.
Oh, no.
I'm sure Thor's probably going to overwrite him anyway.
That's true. All right, guys, that's going to do it here for Final Encountercast. I want to send a big shout out to Kooky Persona, who could not be here today. She is out attending the birth of her niece. Is it her niece? I believe it's
Well, niece or nephew.
Niece or nephew. I don't.
Baby.
Yeah, we're not sure. We're not sure if it's a niece or nephew, but
The birth of Nika's baby.
I was going to say, don't you assume that baby's gender.
I'm sorry. I apologize, baby. Anyway, I want to thank my crew, of course, Skuro, who's actually been doing a little bit of work today. Thank you, Skuro. Wow, I'm impressed. But also thank you to my crew. We've got Nika, Callie, Robbie, Chris. My name's Nate. See you next time. Final Encountercast is a production of finalencountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Kooky Persona, Robbie Landis, and Callie Sloan. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. For links to articles mentioned on this show, check out our live blog at finalencountercast.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.